Is processing really the problem? Ultra-processed foods. Tested. People talk about processed food like the case is closed. It's not. Even after huge reviews, even after 99 studies in one systematic review, science still cannot answer the biggest question cleanly. What is actually causing the harm? Is it the processing itself, the nutrient profile, the overeating effect, or a mix of all three? I'm Denis. I teach the mechanics of fat loss, and today we run this topic like an engineer, not like social media, because a lot of studies does not automatically mean a solved problem. If the measurement is noisy, the conclusion stays noisy too. So this video is not about food fear. It is about separating what science knows from what science still cannot prove. 99 studies, still no clean verdict. Here's the first mindset flip. 99 studies sounds powerful, but quantity is not the same as precision. This is where most people get fooled. They hear dozens of studies and assume the mechanism is solved. It is not. Most of this evidence is observational. That means researchers track patterns, not direct cause and effect. So yes, a high ultra-processed food intake is repeatedly linked with obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, higher mortality. Well, that signal matters, but observational data can only tell us these things travel together. It cannot fully tell us which variable is doing the damage. Then the next problem starts. Measurement quality. Many studies use food frequency questionnaires or 24 hours recalls. It's useful, but often not designed specifically to measure ultra-processed foods with high precision. That matters a lot, because if your category system is fuzzy, your conclusion gets fuzzy too. Think like an engineer. If you run 99 tests with a sensor that is still badly calibrated, more tests help, but they do not magically fix the sensor. That is exactly the problem here. Even the NOVA system itself is debated. Researchers still argue about what belongs in which category and whether processing alone is the right lens. So the honest conclusion is not nothing to worry about, and it is also not case closed. The honest conclusion is this: the concern is real, but the proof is still messier than most headlines admit. What is processed food actually? Before we test the suspect, we need the right categories, because processed food is way too vague. This is the second big mistake people make. They throw everything into one bucket: protein powder, Greek yogurt, canned beans, soda, and frozen pizza. Same word, completely different systems. A useful way to think about it is 4 levels. Group 1: unprocessed or minimally processed foods: eggs, oats, fruit, meat, veggies. Group 2: processed culinary ingredients: oil, butter, sugar, salt. Group 3: processed foods: cheese, canned fish, canned beans, fresh bread. And Group 4: ultra-processed foods: soda, packaged snacks, candy, instant noodles, many breakfast cereals, nuggets, bars. And here's the key flip. Processing is not automatically the problem. Washing, freezing, fermenting, canning, those are also forms of processing. So the real question is not, is it processed? The real question is, what kind of processing are we actually talking about? Because if you do not separate the categories first, the whole argument collapses before the real test even starts. Is processing really the problem? Ultra-processed foods tested. First suspect, nutrient profile. Now we test the first suspect. Maybe processing is not the real villain. Maybe it is just the nutrient profile. This is the simplest explanation. Many ultra-processed foods are loaded with exact variables that break fat loss systems. More calories, more added sugar, more refined fats, more salt, and often less of what protects the system. Less fiber, less protein, less satiety. So ask the engineering question. If two foods behave very differently in your hunger, calorie intake, and health markers, do we blame the factory or the specs? Because a lot of the danger may come from the design sheet. High energy density, weak fullness, easy to overshoot calories. That matters for body fat. It matters for blood sugar control. It matters for cardiovascular risk. And it matters for the average person trying to stop eating after dinner. This is why the field keeps running into the same question. Are ultra-processed foods harmful because of processing, or because they are such an efficient delivery system for poor nutrition? That is not a small difference. Because if nutrient design explains most of the effect, then processed may be a warning label, but not the deepest cause. So suspect number 2 is strong. A lot of the damage may come from what these foods contain, not just from the fact they were industrially made. Chapter 4: Engineered to be eaten. But the story gets darker, because some foods do not just contain risky specs. They are built to increase intake. This is the second suspect. Not just bad nutrition, but consumption engineering. Think about how many ultra-processed foods behave in real life. Easy to chew, easy to swallow, highly rewarding, fast to eat, low friction, low stopping power. That means that product is not passive. It interacts with your appetite system and often pushes it toward more. More bites, more speed, more calories before fullness catches up. This is why calories on paper are not the whole story. A food is not just fuel, it's also a behavior trigger. One product can make eating slower and self-limiting. Another can make eating automatic. That difference is huge. This is where the phrase engineered to be eaten matters. Some products are optimized for convenience, some for shelf life, some for flavor impact, and some seem to win by being very hard to stop once started. That is a fat loss system problem, because the body does not only respond to nutrients, it responds to speed, texture, reward, and satiety delay. So, suspect number 2 is this. The danger may not only be in the label, but in the fact that the product is designed to keep intake high. Chapter 5. What science still can't isolate cleanly. Now we get to the honest verdict. Science is worried. Science is still not finished. Right now, the evidence points to one broad direction. Diets high in ultra-processed foods are consistently linked with worse outcomes. That part is clear. But the exact mechanism is still messy. Is it the nutrient profile? The appetite engineering? The additives? The processing itself? Or the full package altogether? That is still being tested. And this is where bad science communication fails. One side says, nothing proven. Ignore it. The other side says, everything is proven. Case closed. Both are lazy. The better conclusion is harder, but much more useful. There is enough evidence to take ultra-processed foods seriously. There is not enough precision to pretend we have isolated every variable perfectly. That is the real position. And for you, that leads to a practical rule. Stop thinking in slogans. Start thinking in system behavior. Washing, freezing, fermenting, canning. Those are also forms of processing. So the real question is not ask what this food does to hunger, fullness, calorie control, protein intake, fiber intake, and your ability to stop. Because that is where real world damage happens. Not in food ideology, in repeated system failure. So here's the transferable rule. Do not just ask, is this processed? Ask, what does this food do to my intake, my hunger, my health markers? That is how an engineer thinks about food. Not by labels alone, but variables. If you would like to know the most 5 harmful diets, please check out this video right here.